Greetings internet, it's Monica, and today I am going to be talking about some books that I have read recently, and by recently I mean over the past couple of months because it's actually been a minute since I've done a recent reads video, so I hope you don't mind. We're doing a bit of a wrap up in this one, but I'm really excited to talk about these books. I have a couple of controversial opinions coming up, a couple of books that are definitely some new favorites for me, and yeah, I'm just excited to share them with you all. But before I dive in, I do want to give a big shout out to this video's sponsor, which is Skillshare. I have been working with Skillshare for a while now because I love the platform and I love just being able to have a place that I can go where I know that there will be just lots of amazing creative content for me to be inspired by and to learn from. Recently I completed Lisa Ko's class on Skillshare. Lisa Ko is the author of The Leavers, and she has a course all about creating plot, and I talked about wanting to do that course in a previous video, and now that I've completed it, I highly recommend it to all of you. I've recommended it to lots of friends in my real life also because NaNoWriMo is right around the corner, and I recently completely shifted the project that I wanted to work on for NaNoWriMo, so I had to very quickly develop my plot idea and a lot of my characters for this novel. So her class basically starts off with a worksheet, and then she walks you through each lesson through the different parts of the worksheet, and it's really helpful. It was really helpful for me just to get her perspective on building characters and plot that's compelling and believable. So yeah, shout out to her and that class because I feel like very prepared for NaNoWriMo. I'd love to know from you guys, are you interested in NaNoWriMo content? I was thinking about doing maybe some weekly writing vlogs possibly, so if that's something that is of interest, let me know and I'll try to make that happen. Obviously the month is going to be a little chaotic with trying to actually complete that challenge, but I'm really excited for it. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Skillshare, they offer thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. The topics range from illustration to design, photography, video, freelancing, and of course writing. I love that their classes include a combination of both video lessons and an actual class project. Plus, it's super easy to find classes that fit both into your schedule and your skill level. If you'd like to check out Skillshare, I will have a link in my description box below where the first 1,000 people to use that link will be able to get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. Now, without further ado, I'm gonna dive into my recent reads. So this first book I read all the way back in summer, and it is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is one that I had on my TBR for years. Literal years, and I never read it, but I always wanted to. I had put it on multiple TBRs, like video TBRs in the past, and I just never got to it, and I finally did, and I'm so thankful I did because I just genuinely loved this book. It was such a lovely reading experience. If you are looking for a cute, fun, graphic novel, I highly recommend this one. This is about, it's literally the title, a prince and his dressmaker. So Prince Sebastian at the beginning of this novel is being pressured by his parents, the king and queen, to find a bride. But all he wants to do is be a fashion icon and wear amazing, wonderful dresses, and so he finds this dressmaker and hires her to be his personal dressmaker. I loved this book. I loved watching these two characters pursue their dreams, and it was just such a lovely time. I also just really loved the storytelling in this graphic novel. Really enjoyed it and would highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't picked it up yet. If you are like me and you've had this on your TBR for ages, definitely pick it up. This next one I'm gonna try to not talk too long about because I feel like I have talked about it quite a bit in videos and just everywhere on social media, and that is Kim Ji-young, born 1982. This is a Korean translated novel, and we follow a woman named Kim Ji-young who was born in 1982. We follow her from her birth until she's in her 30s, and through her we're basically following the story of every Korean woman in terms of what they have to deal with everyday sexism and misogyny. This book was so compelling. Like, it's written in a way that when I describe it, it doesn't sound like a page turner. It's written almost scientifically in how it follows Kim Ji-young, and it's very like removed from her as a character, but through that you get this really interesting character study. This is one that has definitely stirred up quite a bit of controversy in Korea too. I know the actors who portrayed these characters in the film adaptation have dealt with a lot of harassment. K-pop stars who have been seen with the book have dealt with a lot of harassment, so it's definitely hit a nerve, to say the least, but I think it's because it exposes a lot of truths and a lot of really uncomfortable truths about just what's expected of women in society, especially in Korean society. Then I picked up Sleepwalking, and this one I picked up because 100% because of Kat from Over at Paperback Dreams. The way she talked about it just sounded really compelling to me. This is Meg Wolitzer's first novel, and I've been wanting to read something by her for a while, so I figured what better place to start at than the first. This is definitely a novel that I wasn't expecting to love as much as I did, but at the end, but honestly I was completely surprised by how much I enjoyed and related to this book. I wasn't expecting to have this very particular part of myself so perfectly depicted in a novel. I'm going to talk about what this book is about first before I dive into that. Basically, this book follows really our main character, Claire, but she is a member of the Death Girls. And so this is a group of 3 girls who are friends in college, and they each have a poet that they're obsessed with. Each of their poets have taken their lives. So one girl is obsessed with Sylvia Plath, the other Anne Sexton, and our main character, Claire, is obsessed with Lucy Asher, who is a made-up poet for this novel. And in this book you see their really unhealthy friendship where they stay up until dawn reading poetry by candlelight, and you also see the way in which they really, each of them, latch on to their specific writers as a way to feel something. I've been struggling to really get across what it is about this book that I just connected to so strongly with. The best way that I have been able to describe it is that I feel like this book was written for the girl, the version of me who was up until 3 a.m. back in 2014, like every night, reblogging sad quotes on Tumblr. Like that, I feel like is who this book was written for. And in that sense, this book just felt so weirdly nostalgic for me and endearing. It's not the best written book in the entire world by any means. I feel like even in her preface, Meg Wolitzer says, like, this is not the best of my work, and she even references how she might have like self-plagiarized a bit in her writing of the interestings, taken bits of this book in order to create the interestings, which I definitely really want to read the interestings now because of that. It's not like the most amazing, well-written thing in the world, but there is something so refreshing about it because of that. And I just connected so much to it. I think especially with Claire and her, you know, she's basically going from high school to college and dealing with grief. There's this line in the book that just like, I just connected with a lot. What was it then that made her a death girl? She certainly didn't embrace death. In fact, she was very much frightened by it. Maybe it was this fear that had stunned her into a kind of obsessiveness. If you put yourself in a perpetual state of mourning, then nothing could come up from behind and surprise you. You were prepared for everything. Telegrams, landslides, avalanches, apocalypse. And yeah, I just think this book's depiction and discussion of death and depression and grief, just all wrapped up, was just something I connected to a lot and really, really loved. And I definitely think this one is a new favorite. I gave it 4 stars when I finished. Honestly, I think I might bump that up to 5 because the longer I'm away from this one, the more it kind of sears its way onto my heart. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one if anything I said sounds relatable to you, but also I would understand if you didn't like this one, because I don't think the writing is the best ever, and I could understand why someone might read this and find it kind of too much. But I found it to be just right. Now, sort of on the other scale of that is a book that actually has been making its rounds quite a bit on BookTube lately, and I did not love. That is Bunny by Mona Awad. Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this one. I gave it, I think, like 3 stars. I would honestly probably put this at more of a solid 2.5, to be honest, but I did really like parts of it. So this follows Samantha, who is part of this MFA program at this bougie liberal arts college, and in her MFA program it's all women, and all of the other women, there's 3 or 4 others, I forget, 3 or 4 others, who all call each other Bunny, and they just seem very like cultish in their waspiness is the best way I could describe it. They're just like, yeah, very into each other and always sort of like excited to see each other, and her and our main character Samantha and her best friend are just very like jaded and annoyed by them and do not like them. But Samantha does end up getting sort of pulled into their world, and their world is definitely a wild one. So this novel is one that has been compared to, I think it was my friend Elias who compared it to like The Craft meets Frankenstein meets Heathers, and I 100% agree with that comparison. I do actually think like that is a very good sort of comp for this novel. It's a wild time. It goes into some truly oddball places, and for the first half I was totally sold and was really connecting with the story, and was honestly just like really excited about this like wild ride of a book that I had picked up. However, I feel like after like the first half it just kind of kept going, and as it kept going I felt like everything just got more and more contrived. Like not even the weird elements, like the plot points that are more out there. I loved all of that, and I really liked the fact that the book was willing to go in those very strange directions, and I definitely think that that part of it really did remind me of The Craft and how absurd it got. And so that's really what saved this book for me. Like that's the part that I did really like. But I think what I didn't like was just how heavy-handed it was in what it was trying to say about writing in general. Like this book is basically one big metaphor for writing, and that really took me out of the story a lot. And I actually, my friend Matthew, who also is a booktuber, I'll link both Matthew and Elias in the description box below because they're both wonderful. We were talking because he also didn't love the book, and he had mentioned thinking that it would have been a great short story, and I think that is so spot on. But just as a novel, it wasn't particularly compelling to me, and I think I just kind of ultimately wanted more from the writing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. I want to love this one, and I feel like everybody else seems to love it, and I don't want to be like the curmudgeon who doesn't love the book that everybody is just raving about. But I did like a lot of elements of it. I just kind of felt like as a whole the story just didn't work for me. So yeah, I don't know. I feel about it. It was fine. It was a fine time. I'm not mad that I read it, but also will definitely be unhauling it after this. And then the last book I want to talk about is Julie Berry's The Scandalous Sisterhood of Prickwillow Place. This is a middle grade mystery novel that I just thought would be the perfect read for early autumn, and honestly it was. So Julie Berry is the author of The Lovely War, which I really liked the writing of, even though I didn't love the overall novel as much, but I really liked her writing, so I knew I wanted to read more by her, and I definitely love her middle grade voice. This novel was so fun. I'm actually really sad that it's not a series because I ended up just falling in love with these characters so much. We basically follow these 7 girls who attend St. Etheldrada's School for Young Ladies, and their teacher, who they all live with, at the beginning of the novel, her and her brother end up dying via poison in front of them, and the girls, instead of alerting authorities or anything like that, they decide to get the bodies and bury them in the garden so that they don't have to be separated or leave the school and go back to their families. You basically just watch them try and maintain this normalcy while people keep showing up at unexpected and annoying times, and you also see them as they try to figure out who the murderer was. So it has a little bit of those Clue vibes, which, if you guys watch my videos, you know that I love anything that has that sort of Clue murder mystery element. I love looking for clues through a novel. So yeah, I really liked that part of it. I will say that ultimately the ending fell a little flat for me, but it's about the climb, as Miley Cyrus once said. So overall, I did really enjoy this book, and I especially, like, 100%, if you have any kids in your life, I think they'd really enjoy this one. Like, I know 12-year-old, 13-year-old me just would have totally been obsessed with this book. So yeah, I really liked this one. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a cute, good murder mystery cozy time. This is a perfect read. So yeah, these are my recent reads from the past few months. I will be honest, I've been struggling with I've been struggling a little bit with feeling some inadequacies with not reading enough as a booktuber, but I'm really happy with the things that I have been reading, so I'm trying not to feel that and to just be excited to celebrate the books that I have read. So yeah, these are the books that I've read recently. I am really excited to chat about them with you guys. If you've read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of them, or I'd love to just know what you guys have recently been reading that you loved or that you've hated. Let me know in the comments down below. And once again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to check out Skillshare Premium, again, that link is in my description box, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!